Hello everyone, it's Stacey Ashley here. Wow, I'm so excited. I know it's close to Christmas and what a crazy time to be launching books, but I'm doing it anyway. So thank you for joining me. I'm really excited to be able to share these two books with you. I would love to know, where are you in the world? That's the question we ask, isn't it? Where are you in the world right now? I'd love to know how global we're going and who's going to get the benefit of these great new books. So tonight, what I want to do is just share a few things with you about the books, share the special offer price with you, the launch offer, say a few thank yous, and yeah, that should keep me going for a little while. So I would love to just share with you that the books are live now. They're on Amazon. We are aiming to get 2 Amazon #1 bestsellers for Power Up and You're on Mute. I've got the books here, as you can see, and really looking forward to being able to share them with you. So we've got the special offer price on the Kindle version. So if you want to jump on, the links are in this post. They're in some of the earlier posts, so you should be able to find them. The other thing to let you know is that we're also sharing a special bonus gift with those people who are purchasing the special offer. So you can jump onto the website to hear more and see more about that. So again, thank you so much. Let me just get my comments up so I can see what's happening, and welcome. So I chose to write 2 books this time, which some people said was a little bit crazy, but I really felt like there was a lot that I wanted to be able to share with the people that I work with the world around leadership and the changing demands, I guess, on leaders over this recent, as a consequence of the last couple of years. We've experienced massive changes in the world of work, and I feel like it's really important to help leaders to equip themselves to be adaptable and flexible to the different demands that are now being placed on them. Some of them are simply amplified from before, and some of them are new demands. And so I chose to write these 2 books to really give leaders some more tools in their kit to be able to support themselves and their leadership as we navigate, this ever-changing world. So again, I'd love to know, where are you in the world? Share with me if you purchase the books, because I would love to say thank you. It really means so much, that you support me and that you want to grow your own leadership through that process. So what I want to do first is I want to talk about Power Up. And Power Up is a book for leaders to support their own leadership. So it's really about equipping people with the skills that enable them to continue to lead in a sustainable way over the long term. And so how did it come about? Power Up, and it's 12 simple ideas, as it says, and it's about really acknowledging that leaders over a really long period of time have been very much attention out. It's been about supporting other people, helping them to navigate the changing world, making sure that they, have that leadership, that they do feel supported, that they do feel equipped, and all of those sorts of things. And leaders have been giving generously of their time and their energy and their effort and their focus and attention and all of those things over the last couple of years, which is not new because leaders have always been doing that. However, it's been amplified because the needs of people, or the people around leaders, have also been amplified because of the extreme change that we've experienced over the last couple of years. And so what I wanted to do was to give leaders a way of looking after themselves so that they can continue to show up and lead generously as they have been doing, but over the long term. So to be able to look after themselves, to support themselves so that they're really well equipped to have a sustainable way of leading over the long term and leading change over the long term. So grab yourself a copy. It's on Amazon now in all the different markets around the world. So do yourself a favor and get a copy. So I wrote both of my books, Power Up and You're on Mute. I wrote them back in October of this year in an intensive. And for those of you that are familiar with my earlier books, this is the way that I've written all of my books, in a really intensive way. I have a great coach and support team with the inspirational book writing team and Dave Thompson. And so this is a process that really works for me. I go into a container, I work really intensively for a week, and then, I have a book at the end of it. And I can see a couple of people have purchased the books already and let me know. So thank you, Mike Cameron. I really value your support over the years. So I really appreciate that. And so I go into this container and I produce a book in a week. Well, this time I decided to challenge myself and to produce 2 books in a week. And with the support of IBW, that was possible. And so, as I said, the first book that I created was Power Up. And Power Up came for all of those reasons that I've said about, wanting to be able to help leaders to have a little bit of attention in and support themselves. But more than that, I had actually been working with one of my clients, and they had provided, an opportunity for me to really work with a lot of their leaders who were challenged by, really diverse demands and changes in the environments that they were operating in. And this is a client out of the hospitality industry, which of course has been dramatically affected in the last couple of years. And so in the course of working with these leaders, what I found was that they were getting really great results from some of the work that we were doing. Not necessarily highly complex things, but they are highly complex, but we've actually turned them into a simplified form. And so then I started to share these concepts with other clients as well. And they also found them really, really beneficial. And so that then sort of, fostered the idea of maybe I can help even more leaders to make sure that they look after themselves and that they have ways of supporting themselves so that they can continue to lead over the marathon of change that is in front of us as the world of work continues to evolve post the initial time frame of the global pandemic. And so that's really what sponsored this idea of writing a book to capture all of those ideas in a really simple form that people can implement readily and easily. And so thank you. I can see a few more people have purchased, some a little bit anonymously, but that's okay. Well, I appreciate it, and my thanks to you. And so Power Up was really like capturing all of those ideas and those simple concepts. When I say simple to implement concepts as a way of being able to give that opportunity to more leaders to be able to support themselves. And so I wrote the book. And I'm really, really pleased with how it's come out. A few thank yous that I want to just share, and I'm happy to take questions about this book, which is, as I said earlier, it's available on Amazon. And we've got a special Kindle offer. And that's about being able to give this gift to as many people as possible and make it really accessible, for 99 cents. I think that's pretty good for the Kindle version. So I've lost my train of thought. Don't you hate that when that happens? So this was the first of the 2 books that I wrote in October. And I guess what I wanted to do is just to make sure that more leaders had more of this equipment so that they were better positioned to lead this long-term marathon of change. And one of the great ways of actually sharing ideas, of course, is through a book, because you can touch more people with it. More people can get access to it and it can be shared. And so that's a really, really amazing thing to be able to do. So I'm just going to check my comments. I've got a few comments. Thank you for the congratulations, and really appreciate the thoughts and comments that are coming through. Okay, So that was the first book I wrote. And when I went to the online book writing retreat, that sort of took up the first couple of days to really get all of the ideas out of my head and to get that into, a good shape that I could leave it and then actually move on to the second book. Before I go off Power Up, though, one of the things I want to talk to you about is the color. The color of the cover is really important to me. And it took me a long time to kind of figure out what I wanted on the cover. I wanted to keep it simple because the whole idea here is that these are simple to implement ideas, simple ways of leaders being able to support themselves and the people around them. The color, though, I wanted a color that it's warm and and it has energy, and it is about lifting you up and giving you, I guess, that get up and go. And I really love the color of this. And I can see my book coach, Dave Thompson, is supporting here. So thank you, Dave, for all of your incredible support. So this is the first book. Let me talk a little bit about the second book, You're on Mute. And then I'll come back and share a little bit more about I guess some of the people that have helped and supported. And again, super happy to take questions. Let me know where you are in the world. Let me know once you've purchased the book so I can say thank you, or the books so that I can say thank you. And just a reminder that once you've purchased the books, if you want to come jump onto the website link, then there is an opportunity to get the bonus resource gifts there as well. So you can just pop your details in and we'll send you to the page where you can download all of your bonuses for each of the two books. So the second book that I wrote is You're on Mute. And this title came out of, it was kind of funny because the idea of the book is to recognize the importance of upskilling yourself as a leader, both, just individually, how you show up online, but also from a strategic perspective, how do you help your organization to operate in an online, hybrid, virtual, face-to-face combination world? And so I was sort of challenged about how do I turn that into a title? And You're on Mute was kind of a bit of a joke because You're on Mute was one of the top phrases in business in 2020 as the world kind of scrambled to go online. And of course, everyone was trying to navigate, how do I use all these tools? And so everyone's microphone was off. And so You're on Mute became a really familiar phrase. But what I like about the concept is that it's a really great metaphor for checking in with yourself as to how you are leading online. Are you being a leader online? What's your leadership positioning online? Because if you are not being proactive and deliberate about leading online, then effectively you're on mute. And so I really like that concept. Anyway, why did I write this second book? I wrote the second book, You're on Mute, because what I noticed is that there was a real diversity of how people were embracing the online world. Now, we know that at the beginning of 2020, there was just this need to, really quickly move so many organizations into much more of an online environment than perhaps had happened before. And depending on the nature of the organization as to how quickly that happened and how much of the workforce that were impacted by that. But for many organizations, it was almost the entire, organization that needed to move online really, really quickly. And that happened. And it was amazing, and leaders did a great job. And I'm certainly, acknowledge all of that. What I've noticed, though, is that there are some things in some organizations and in some teams that don't happen, though, because we want to do them face-to-face, because we've always done them face-to-face. And that's what we like, and that's what we enjoy, and that's what we're comfortable with. But the impact of that is, if you have border restrictions, if you have localized lockdowns, if, so many other things happen, and you're only prepared to do things face-to-face, then you miss out on lots of opportunities that leveraging online can create. And so I noticed some organizations that I worked with were amazing, and they really embraced the opportunities of online and hybrid working. Some organizations and leaders, not as much. And the consequence of that was that certain things didn't actually make progress. Perhaps long-term and strategic planning was delayed, or we didn't get the leadership team together as often because we couldn't do it face-to-face, or someone needed to travel and they weren't able to. That learning initiatives were delayed because we wanted to do them face-to-face. And while I acknowledge that there are pros and cons with face-to-face and being online, to just delay things indefinitely doesn't set your business, doesn't set your team, doesn't set your people up for success. And so I think we really need to come to grips with how do we blend and operate in, as leaders, all of these spaces, face-to-face, hybrid, online, all of those combinations. We need to be able to really easily move between those spaces, and we need to be able to have plan A and plan B and plan C, depending on the conditions that we're operating in. And so that's why I wanted to write this particular book, because I think that there are opportunities that are not being taken up as much as they could be. And so, again, I want leaders to be, really well positioned, both for their personal leadership, but also strategically, so that they can actually make the difference they want to. So this is where You're on Mute came from. And You're on Mute has two perspectives, I guess. One is the big picture perspective of strategically, how do you leverage the online and hybrid spaces? And also the small screens perspective, which is how do you own your webcam square? How do you show up, individually as a leader and lead the online space, so that you have presence and influence and authority, and that you are actually positioning your leadership regardless of the environment or the space in which you're working. And so this one is also launching today. So both the books are available on Amazon. So I'd love to hear from anyone about questions that they have. Thanks so much. I can see a few other people have noted in the comments that they've bought the book. So I really, really appreciate it. I'm streaming on LinkedIn and Facebook personal and YouTube tonight. So we've got comments and things coming from all over the place. And I've got my family are actually feeding me some of the comments. So thank you to everyone who's playing along tonight. I really, really appreciate it. And I think you're going to love the books. I think that there's lots of goodness in there. So just a little bit more on this. You're on mute. I think one of the things that is important about this is about getting you to reflect. So there's lots of really great questions in You're on Mute to get you to reflect on how are you showing up online? How are you thinking strategically about how you leverage the online space? To really get you, I guess, being proactive. One of the things that I think is important is to recognize that, the world of work has changed. And so now what we have to do as leaders is to figure out how do we leverage those changes? How do we take advantage of the opportunities? How do we actually identify the opportunities in the first place? And so this is all about getting you into a space where you're really thinking about those things. So two quite different themes between the two books, but I think, and I believe, I hope that they're going to be really beneficial in terms of equipping leaders with both the questions to be able to operate as effectively, efficiently, as leader-like as they can in the new world of work, but also to be able to support and sustain themselves. And that's what Power Up is about, to support and sustain themselves, in this long-term kind of marathon of change that we're going to experience. We've had dramatic change over the last nearly 2 years, but we've got many years left of seeing what happens. We know that areas of different things have been impacted in terms of the way people consider their work in the context of their life, what's expected of leaders, the requirement for connection and trust and communication, and how that's changed, the importance of the employee experience, the relationship of organizations to their customers and their suppliers, and all of these things. There's so much that's changed. There's just much more humanity, I think, happening in the world of work, but also in terms of the expectations of how leaders operate. And so the first thing is to actually recognize that you are human and you need to look after yourself. But then how do you connect with the people around you and support them as well? So, gosh, there's so much I could share. I thought maybe I'd tell you a little bit about how I can knock out 2 books in a week. So these are books actually number 4 and 5. I've written 3 earlier books. Let me just hold those up. I've got those ones here too. So my very first book back in 2018 was The New Leader, which was all about the transition from being a member of a team to actually leading a team. Then I wrote First Lead Yourself, and I wrote that in 2020. And that was, of course, about, the platform for leadership is self. And so if you want people to choose you as their leader, then you need to actually work on yourself. And then the third one that I wrote at the beginning of this year, Show Up 21. And this was about giving leaders some equipment to help them cope with coming out of 2020 and into 2021. And as a special, because I'm so excited about launching 2 new books. So what I've done is for those 3 books that I've written previously, I've actually dropped the Kindle prices of all of those books down as well. So in the Kindle store, all of my books for kind of the next 24 hours or so are going to be just at that 99-cent point, because I want to share the goodness with as many people as I can. I want to put these leadership skills into as many hands as I possibly can, because the world needs leadership right now. And so the more equipment that you have, the better positioned you are to show up as a leader, to step up as a leader. And so that's super important. So the process of writing a book for me, again, for those of you who know me, you know that I don't write first. I actually speak first, and I get all of my work. I get it transcribed. So I record it all, and then I transcribe it, and then I get it edited, or I edit it before I give it to the book editors. And so whether that's I write a short article or whether I write a book, this is how I do it, because it works for me. And so I find that I can accomplish a lot in a really short space of time. Of course, I've done the thinking before I start recording, but it just really facilitates the process. And I then find that working in the book retreat container, where I've got a week, and I know I've got a week to actually get this done, I find those 2 things combined work beautifully. And so this time, because I've had the practice of writing 3 earlier books, I really wanted to write both of these books, and I challenged myself to write them both in a week. I thought I could do it. And I had a lot of the content because I had been running for Power Up. I had been running these programs with clients. And so I had, I really had a good process, and I knew what I wanted to include. And so I started the book writing week, writing the core content of Power Up. And that took me the first maybe 2.5 days of the week. And then I thought, okay, I've got 4.5 days left. I need to make some progress on You're on Mute. And so with You're on Mute, what I did was I then jumped into that. And I wasn't as sure about You're on Mute. I'm not the super expert of all things online, but I really felt it was an important topic to address and ask questions about. And so then I spent the next couple of days crafting and creating the content of You're on Mute. But I needed it to percolate a little bit. So then I went back from You're on Mute. I went back to Power Up, and I finished Power Up. And so by the Sunday, so that was day 7, I had a completed manuscript for Power Up, and I submitted that to the editor, which is pretty awesome. And then a week later, I finished You're on Mute off, and I submitted that one to the editor. And so I felt really good, that I had actually managed to get both of the books done, because I thought they were both really important, and I thought that they would both have a lot of value and be super helpful to leaders at at a lot of levels, really. Although I've been working with very senior leaders on the Power Up content. A leader at any level could use it. An individual could use all of the ideas. So you don't need to be a leader of like an entire organization, although super applicable if you are. You could be a leader of yourself. Everyone's a leader, right? That's the way that I think about it anyway. So I can see a couple more people have jumped on the live. So, hey, if you haven't yet, the books are live on Amazon, in your local Amazon market. Wherever you are in the world, you'll find them. And so grab yourself a copy while we've got the special launch offer on. And we've also got the bonus resources that we're offering at the moment as well. And so they're on our website. I think the website link is also in the posts as well. So you'll see that on the website. I think it's /book launch is the URL. Let me just scroll down. Actually, I think I can see it. Oh, yeah, it's so it is on our website, and then just book launch, and you'll get to the gift page where you can actually get. So what we've done is, just to give you a bit more information. So with Power Up, what we've done is we've created a workbook to accompany Power Up. So as you read the book, and the questions are in there and the reflections are in there, we've given you a workbook to actually capture all of that for yourself. And so that gives you then the ability to take notes and, answer your own questions and create opportunities and commit to a plan of action to be able to support yourself so you can power up your leadership. So that's the first bonus. The second one, so for You're on Mute, one of the things that I've noticed is that most people, and I'm generalizing here, so most people feel like they do online pretty well. And there's a level of comfort there. And I'm sure everybody does it a lot better than we did 18 months ago. The thing is that logging into Zoom or Teams or Google Hangouts or wherever you work isn't really enough. We actually need to raise the bar. So as leaders, we need to be present. We need to have influence. We need to be very proficient in the online space. And so what I wanted to do with You're on Mute is actually get people to be really thoughtful about how are they really showing up? How strategic are they really being? And so what I've developed here is a little self-assessment for you to help you to understand big picture. How strategic are you actually being? How are you really leveraging the online and hybrid spaces? And then from a personal perspective, what is your level of competence and confidence and credibility online? Because I think if we get really honest with ourselves, that's where the opportunity comes from. Because if we know where we are now, then we can figure out, do we need to do anything differently? Do we need to elevate? What's the opportunity here for us individually and strategically? So those are the resources that are available by logging onto the website. Hey, Mike, thanks so much. So great to be part of your journey this year as well. And congratulations on both of your books this year as well. Okay, what else can I share with you today? So once in terms of the process, once the writing process is completed, then of course there's the publishing process, and that's where the experts who actually turn your raw manuscript into a book, that's where they come in. And again, super grateful for Inspirational Book Writers and all their support. And the team, they're amazing. So what happens is you submit your manuscript and then someone edits it for you. And so they read it and they review it and they comment on it and they make suggestions. And that can be everything from your grammar to whether something makes sense, whether the flow of the book makes sense, all of those sorts of things. And so I think I said in one of my VIP readers videos, I said, it's one of the most intimidating parts of the book writing process because it's typically the first time somebody else reads your stuff. And so you're kind of putting it out there into the world. Um, hey, Madan, thank you so much. Lovely to see you on here as well. So when you submit your raw manuscript to the editor, it's kind of like really putting yourself out there. It's quite a you make yourself vulnerable, I guess, is what I would say. And that's part of the authoring process. And I think one of the things, the very first time I wrote a book, is that people said it's one of the most challenging, most courageous parts of the process, is because you're actually putting your stuff out in the world for other people to critique. And as we know, sometimes feedback can be really challenging to work with, but it's an amazing process. And so the editing process comes first, where we get the book to make sense, to flow, to have reasonable grammar, but not make it academic or too theoretical, so that it stays in your voice. And then the second part, once we've done editing, is we go into formatting, and that's really what turns it into looking like a book. Suddenly chapters appear and titles appear, and there's page numbers and all of those sorts of things. And so it now begins to look like a book. And at the end of the formatting process, that's exactly what you've got. You have a book, and then of course we've got to create a cover. And so all of the graphic design for the cover, for the back information needs to be created. So there are a lot of components that come together to actually bring the book together. And then we get to this point where we launch. So it's pretty exciting. Hey, Kath Nolan. So great to see you here, and thank you so much for your support. And it's really lovely. There are lots of authors I can see on here, and everyone appreciates the process. And so super grateful for your support. Kath actually said to me, she was one of the people that I spoke to, and I said, should I launch my books before Christmas? And I think from memory, Kath launched on Christmas Eve, maybe last year. So she spoke from experience and said, yes, just go for it. And also to launch 2 books at once. Is it possible? Will we make Amazon bestseller with both books? All of those sorts of things. And everyone just said, go for it. And that's what I decided to do. So grateful for everyone's support, because I know it's a busy time of year. I know it's the end of a very tiring year. So I'm really, really appreciating all of the support and the good wishes that everyone is sending. So again, a reminder, if you haven't jumped onto Amazon, both of the books at the moment, you can see the posters in the background, but both the books are, the Kindle version is at a special offer of 99 cents at the moment. In addition, I've actually put all of my books at a 99-cent offer in celebration, and it's Christmas time. And really, I do want to be able to share the gifts of all this great, leadership toolkit with people. Okay, I am feeling like, gosh, I've been chatting for like half an hour already. If you've got any particular questions, I'd love to hear them, or see them. Type them in for me. Okay, so a few thank yous. I think, apart from all of my great supporters, I've talked about inspirational book writers who've been fabulous in all the years that I have worked with them. So if you want to write a book, I super encourage you to talk to them. And Dave Thompson. The other people, though, that are really, really important is, my family, who allow me to go into the book writing container and basically just ignore them for like a week at a time. So, and they're super encouraging and supportive. So thank you always to my family, to my great team, who have just done an incredible job with all of the work to bring the books together, to get the launch organised, to promote the books, there's so many things. So super, super thankful and grateful there. And then the other 2 people that I really wanted to thank are the people that wrote the forewords for each of the book. So they go to the trouble of reading the book and then really talking a little bit about it and providing, I guess, a great perspective from their perspective about the book. And so for You're on Mute, I was really, really fortunate that Cheryl Walker, who is just an incredible expert in the live online space, and I've been to one of Cheryl's programs, and she's just a virtuoso in this space. And she wrote the foreword for You're on Mute for me, so super grateful to her for her thoughts and commentary. And then for Power Up, the foreword was written by Sarah Derry, who's a long-term friend and colleague of mine, incredible coach, amazing human, and just a phenomenal leader. She is the embodiment of leadership, and so I'm incredibly fortunate that she also somehow found the time, I don't know how, to read the book and provide a foreword. So thank you to both of those people, because it's such, it just adds another dimension to your book, and it's very I don't know, it's super gratifying when someone reads your work and are prepared to put their names on it as well. So I'm very, very appreciative of that. Okay, I think, all of you, I forgot to say thank you. So all of my VIP readers, my supporters, my clients, just amazing. It's amazing to have you all in my world, and I'm very thankful for that. I've worked with some incredible people over the last couple of years in particular who have just shone, in terms of how they've shown up as leaders in, what I think everyone would agree has been, unusual, challenging, complicated kind of times. And so, my thanks to everyone who, has been part of my world always, but in particular over this last couple of years. So my gifts, Power Up and You're on Mute, are to you as well. So very thankful that I can share them with you and be part of your world. I know it's kind of, gosh, it's getting close to Christmas, right? So I really appreciate you sharing this launch with me. If you haven't yet, I'd really encourage you to jump on to Amazon, grab a copy of each of the books, Power Up and You're on Mute, while they are at the launch offer on Kindle of 99 cents. Share with the people around you. One of the things that I think is really important is, that we get the word out so more people can benefit from, getting exposure to some of these ideas, which I think are important and helpful and supportive. And, for me, if you get one great idea from a book, it's a good book. If you get more than that, that's just a bonus. So I think there'll be some ideas in each of the books that can be really, really useful to you. So share them. Don't be stingy. Don't keep it to yourself. Actually let other people get exposure to those concepts as well. Okay, I don't think I'm going to keep you much longer because I've been going for like 40 minutes now. And I've just about run out of things to say. Well, not really, but in terms of the books, I've given you, I guess, a little bit of an overview to where they came from, how they came about, how I wrote them, all my thank yous. I'm super excited that I've got them out into the world. Super excited to, I guess, have a little stack of books now. I didn't ever think of myself as an author, and the people who were at the very first book writing retreat I went to will probably remember me saying, "Oh, I'm not a very good writer, but I have discovered that I'm a speaker who writes, and I can turn out a book." So pretty happy with that. Pretty happy with the fact that I challenged myself and I met the challenge of actually producing 2 books, and 2 helpful books, I think. And stay tuned. There'll be more books at some point, but I've written 3 books in 2021, and I feel like that's probably enough just for the moment. And that's given you plenty plenty of ideas and tools for your kit to support your leadership as well. So I hope that that you enjoy them, and I hope that you find great value in those books. So can't see any questions coming up. Few more people have ordered the book, so thank you. Really appreciate your support and all the love you send my way and the good wishes and all of those things. So I think at this point I'm going to call it a night. It might be dinner time soon, I think. If you've got any questions, if you need any help, just either contact me direct, pop it in the comments. We'll be keeping an eye on the comments over the next day or two as people who are watching the recording kind of add their thoughts as well, and obviously in other time zones when they wake up or when they get on with their day and watch the recording. Please pop your questions, comments, thoughts in, and I'll certainly get back to you. Alrighty. I think I'm done. So thank you again. Huge thank you. Fingers crossed, toes crossed. Really hoping that I can reach that Amazon #1 bestseller. I'd really be kind of excited if that happened, and look forward to connecting soon. Have a wonderful Christmas, festive, holiday break. Replenish. Spend time with your loved ones, and enjoy the time, and I'll connect again soon. All right, I think I'm going to call it a night. So thank you again, and thanks for sharing the book launch of both books, Power Up and You're on Mute, with me tonight.